what's up, guys? So right here we basically, I'm assuming you've had a basic like introduction to After Effects in this video, but right here we've created a new composition and we've titled it Hologram, and then I just imported my footage right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new folder. I'm gonna call it footage, and I'm going to stick my footage. It'll be the background, for the hologram in the footage folder. And so now we're gonna work on the hologram right here, as you can see. And so first I'm gonna make a new white solid. A new white solid. So let's see. There we go. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take the shape tool right there, and I'm going to make a rectangle, a big rectangle. Like this will be the basic hologram screen right here. Make the big rectangle, and I'm going to take the masking tool, and I'm going to take this masking tool, and I'm going to make some mask points on the hologram screen. So there, there, there. We want to make sure they're about as close to, like, we want to make sure each edge of this hologram matches each other, so it's symmetrical. So let's put one there, right there, and another one right there. And let's put some right here, here, and let's put another one here, and let's put another one here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, oops, I didn't mean to do that. So now that we've created this basic shape thing, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these 2 points right here. We're gonna move them in. We're gonna move these 2 points in. Let's try that again. There we go. Kind of like that. I kind of want them to look like that. Now we're gonna take these 2 points over here, and we're going to move those in, just like that. Yeah, just like that. And so now we're gonna take this and we're gonna make the edges, kind of techie, like that, at an angle. We're gonna put the edges at an angle. And we put all the edges at an angle. We just want it all to be the same. There we go. And now we're gonna put this edge at an angle. Let's see. Here we go. And we're gonna put this edge at the same angle. Okay, just like that. And so now we are going, I think I'm going to move these in a little bit. Let me see. Move these in like, 2 clicks, 3, 2, 3. I'll move these one in right here, 3 clicks. If you don't know, I'm just using the arrows on a keyboard to move this in. You can do it by hand with the mouse, but I think the arrows on the keyboard are a lot easier. So we're creating a new rectangle right there. We'll move that in a little bit. This will give it more of a techie, kind of futuristic, I don't really know, kind of look. It's just cool, I guess is the best way to say it. Yeah, we want it to be even. Move it up just a little. We're gonna make that diagonal too. Make it kind of look like a 3D square almost, I guess. So let's move that up a little bit. As you can see, that's not exactly even with the edge up there, so let's try to let's try to make that even. Still not even. I think if we zoom in though, here, let's take the hand tool and zoom in right there. There we go. We should be able to make it even now. Let's see. Move it up. Down. There we go. Okay, so that looks good. Let's see if it's even. No, it was even. Okay, that looks good. So now let's duplicate mask 2. So that mask, and we're gonna move it down. So if you don't know, I'm duplicating. It's Control plus D on the keyboard, and that'll duplicate it for you. So yeah, we'll duplicate it again. Move it down. Duplicate it again. Duplicate it again. Move it down. There we go. Let's duplicate that again and move it down. As you can see, that's actually starting to look kind of good. Let's move that down. There we go. Okay, now this time we're going to duplicate it. We're going to work with the edges a little bit to make it fit the bottom angle, so it doesn't look, just awkward. Now if you look at my hologram test video, which you can go check out on my channel, I didn't do this, but I'm going to do it just because I don't know, make it look better, and I haven't done it before. So yeah, let's do that. Yep, there we go, just like that. And now if I click off, that actually looks pretty good. Like, that's a pretty good shaped screen. So now let's duplicate that first mask we made, and let's move it over to the other side. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it, and when we flip it, it's gonna fit perfectly in with. It's gonna fit perfectly in with this angle because it's been made for. It might not be perfect, but it'll be close enough to where I think we're gonna keep it. So yeah, if you didn't notice, all I do is double click one of the points on the mask, and it gives me this little thing, and I can flip it and then carry it over. By the way, I'm just using the arrow keys. It's a lot easier. If you want to make it move faster, you can hold shift and move the arrow keys, and it'll make it go up, down, left, right a lot faster. You can do the same when working with variables in terms of like position and everything. But let's duplicate that mask and move it down. And let's duplicate that mask again. Once again, that's Control plus D to duplicate. Yeah, and let's duplicate it again and move it down. Let's duplicate it again and move it down. One of the things I want to make sure I do is tell you all the commands, because most YouTubers who do these tutorials do not tell you the commands, and so sometimes you don't know half the time how they're doing something. And just in case y'all are wondering, my screen is not showing me like create solids and everything. The video isn't. I'm not exactly sure why, but it isn't. So if you want to like see what it looks like to create a new solid, you can go watch some other tutorials. But this is just giving you a general idea of how to make a hologram. So let's see, we're working with this. There we go. I think that's pretty much even. So look, now we got a decent, I mean, it's not exactly symmetrical, but it's good enough for what we're doing, and it looks pretty good. So now we want to do an outline and something you can see through, because with a hologram, it's not like a computer screen. Like, you can see through it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to duplicate our first mask, which is the outline mask for, the screen, and we're going to hit subtract. No, yeah, subtract. And now we're going to go in there, and we're going to set the expansion to -10. Right there. Okay. And now we have that. We have an outline, but it's black in the middle because you could be able to see straight through. And the thing is, you want to be able to see what's on the screen, or you want to be able to see some sort of like screen thing. So we're going to duplicate it, but we're going to set the opacity to 30%. That way you can see through the screen, but you still see a screen. So yeah, there we go. Now if I stuck this on real footage, you'd be able to see through that middle part, but not completely. So there we go. That looks good. And so now that we've done that, I think it's time to move on. Actually, I didn't really plan this, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I don't want to take too much of y'all's time, but at the same time, I want to give you a good understanding of how to do multiple things with a hologram. Let's see. I think I'm going to make a battery here. Okay, so let's do that. Batteries are kind of cool, just kind of like how much power is left in your thing. I don't know. That's just kind of cool, and it's kind of techie looking. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm just going to use it anyway, techie. Anyway, let's fatten up this battery a little bit, and then let's take the rectangle tool, and let's add a little point to the battery, right there. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's move it a little closer to the big main part of the battery. There we go. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think it's kind of amazing what you can do with solids and masks. I think it really is. I mean, you can animate like just about anything with a solid and a mask. I mean, you really can. So let's see. Right here, we're going to duplicate that first mask, do what we did to the screen. We're going to duplicate it, and we're going to hit subtract. And then we're going to go to expansion. I think I'm just going to set it to -10, see what that looks like, and just go on from there. I never really pay attention to, like, what the expansion is, so I don't really know what I used on my test video. That's a little too, so I'm going to do it -20. I think that looks better. 20 enter. Yeah, that's a little fatter. You want a little fatter of an outline on this battery. So now what we're going to go in is do the battery bars. Like, you would see maybe on like a screen or something. Not necessarily a computer. Most computers don't really have this, but just kind of on a screen. Mask 5. We're just going to duplicate this over and over again until we kind of, let's move that closer, outer. I don't know. I want that a little closer. Let's take the hand tool and zoom in. Maybe that'll allow me to move it closer. Nope. Still doing the same jump. Let's move that one closer to the battery. Let's see. No. Yeah, it's not working. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave it how it is. Duplicate mask 5. move it over, duplicate it again, move it over, I'm gonna move it over, and duplicate it one more time. And so now we're gonna create a new one after I move this over. Okay, so we want an empty part of the battery to give it more like this realistic feel, like you use your hologram type thing. I don't know. I think it's just kind of cooler. So let's do that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing we've done with the screen and everything else. We're gonna do an outline and put inside completely empty. So let's see, subtract, and let's set this to negative, like 0.5 or something, like -8. I don't know. I didn't really work with this one that much. I just kind of like did it just tiny. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. So now we got a battery. All we got to do is stick it where we want it on our hologram screen. Let's see. Let's just go and let's get off mask. Let's go to transform, and we can move it using the position part. And so just in case you're wondering, those stopwatches you see on the side are like keyframes. So like if I hit the stopwatch and create a keyframe, and then I can move forward in the video, move the battery somewhere, and then create another keyframe. And when you scroll through the video, it would go from the first keyframe of where it was to the second keyframe of where it was. Anyway, we'll see that later in the video, so it doesn't really matter. But I just want to make sure you like kind of know about that. If you're kind of new to After Effects, it's kind of important to know that, because that'll really help you kind of with the stuff you do. So right here, I've just created a text layer and put battery 97%. I mean, I think that's pretty simple. You hit the text tool, and in the right you can kind of see like regular, courier, new, and all that, like all the sizes and stuff. That's kind of what you just mess with for text like style and everything, but that's not important in this video. So let's scale it down, move it over to the right a little bit. We want it, there we go, kind of right there. We want it centered right under the battery, like if you were actually looking at it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So we are done with the battery. Now, I don't want to make this tutorial like boring, like you just watched and you were like, dang, all he did was put a battery and that was it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new solid, and we're going to do an internet bar, like you have some internet on this thing. Like you could get on Google and search something. I don't know, that just sounds kind of cool. So let's do that, and that's our first bar. Now, I don't feel like creating 3 separate bars. I'm just gonna duplicate it, and I'm just gonna take the mouse tool, and I'm gonna select the 2 top points on this duplicate, and I'm gonna move them up a little bit. Like the bars get higher and higher, like you see on some things. Now, not everything does the internet bars this way, but that's why I'm doing it on this. So let's create another one. I'm thinking about doing 3 bars. Typically what I do. Let's undo that. By the way, to undo something, like with a keyboard, you just do Control plus Z, and that'll undo any move you just made. Or you can just hit it to edit, and it'll say like undo something, whatever you just did. But it's easier to do Control plus Z. I'm still trying to get used to that command. So yeah, let's duplicate that, move it over. There we go. And there we go. So down. I'm doing 4 bars because 3 on here. Like you can do 3 bars, but they would have needed to be smaller, and these were too tall, so I'm doing 4. I think that looks pretty good. So let's go back to our composition hologram, and oops, did not mean to do that. Let's undo that, and I'm just gonna go to transform and move. Let's scale it down. Yeah, a lot. It's way too big. And you can just let's move this up. We need this up like really bad. Let's move this up. Oh wait, hold on a second. Sorry, like, oh wait, let me see. Yeah. Sorry, y'all. I'm just looking at something else. Oh, okay. So let's get back. Let's move this to the right, and then let's move this up. We want it in the right corner, just like the battery. It's still a little too big, but let me go ahead and get it there first, and then we'll scale it down a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and scale this down. I mean, it looks good, but I think it's a little too big. So let's scale this down. Okay, so now that we have this scaled down, let's move it up just a little bit. I want it centered as much with the battery as possible to give it this, good look right here. So let's see. There we go. That looks good. Now let's add that text and let's do all capitals. Internet. Oops. Internet. There we go. Now it's obviously way too big, but we can just go to internet and hit transform, and we can just hit scale and just lower it down a ton. Let's hit caps lock. For some reason, when you move it down, sometimes it just requires you to do caps lock to refresh the view on your thing. I don't know why. I think it's kind of stupid, but anyway, we got that right there, and now we're gonna move it to the left a little bit, right there. That looks pretty good. Let's move it to the left a little more. I think I want the center. Yeah, I think that looks good. That looks pretty legitimate. Kind of real, like it's actually there. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so let's get off this. Let's get off all that, and now, what should we do next? There's tons of things you could do. You could do a welcome. You could do a whatever. But I don't know. Like I kind of think like Minecraft, like a loader. So I'm gonna do a new solid, and I'm gonna do a loader. Like if you pull it up on a PC, it does that loading, Mohang, whatever thing. That bar that moves across. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think that's kind of just techy and cool. Once again, I don't even know if that's a word, but I just like using it. I guess it describes. So yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that same thing we did with the screen. The subtract. I'm sure it's blah 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 to you at this point. -15. Let's set that to -15. Just somewhere in between. And now yeah, that looks good. Let's just duplicate mask 1 again right here, because we're gonna do a fill for the little loader section, and let's put that under mask 2. That way you can see it. Okay, and now let's go to its expansion. And I'm just gonna take the tool and just move it down to I think it looks good, because I don't really have a set number for that. Okay, that looks good. So now let's go and I don't know what's okay. Mask path. So this is the keyframe part. So what I've done is I've hit the key for the stopwatch, and it creates a keyframe. So in this keyframe, I want the wait just a second. I kind of forgotten how this works. Let's see. I'm sure there's a way to do this. Well, let's see. I need it to move in and not exist. So what I'm going to do for that is no, not invert. Let's see. I'm gonna take it off the keyframe for a second. When you hit the stopwatch after you've turned it blue, if you hit it again, it turns the keyframe off. Let's see, mask 3. Let's move that over. Okay, so now you can see the points. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna move these points on the right all the way in to where you can't even see the loader. There you go, just like that. I'm gonna start moving those in. Let's hit shift. That moves a lot faster. A lot faster. There we go, just like that. Okay, so now let's move the whole mask over to where we originally had it, and that way, now we've started the keyframe right here. So like the original keyframe, it's blank. There's nothing. Let's move that over. Let's hold shift. As you can see, that's showing the thing, but that's okay because we'll move the 2 dots on the other side over again, and they'll move in, and you won't be able to see the loading part anymore. So let's take those and move. Let's hold shift. Come on, I don't feel like sitting here all day. Okay, there we go. So we've moved shift, and now you can't see it anymore. So now let's just move forward a little bit, and let's do another. When we move this mask, it'll automatically create another keyframe. See, if you look at the bottom, it's created another keyframe. Now let's move all the way to the end. It's completely loaded. Everything's done. We're done with the loading process, okay? Yeah, so we're done with the loading process. Now the thing we can do is we can move the keyframes around to make this go faster or slower. Now if I go to the right and hit play, it'll play this, and obviously it's really slow because on the bottom I have the time thing set to like 10 minutes. So that'll be faster. Not much faster. That'll still take like 30 seconds. So what we can do is go right here and move that time scale down a lot. And I want this to be really fast. Like if you look at my video, it's kind of slow, and I was okay with that on that one, because I did some other details that made that kind of make sense. But on this one, nah, we want it to look like we got this speedy hologram that does whatever we want. It's really fast, it takes no time to load. It's not laggy, it's just everything, absolutely everything you want in a hologram. So what we're doing is just moving the time just a little bit. Okay, let's just move these time frames in, just these keyframes, sorry, not time frames, keyframes in a little bit. That's kind of fast. Let's move it really close in. We're talking about like a second to load. Oh man, okay, so that's kind of what I'm talking about right there. So yeah, let's go to the composition and let's center this in the middle. There we go. Kind of right there. That's obviously way too big. So what we can do is we can get off mask. Come on. Go to transform and go to scale. Okay, so if you're not noticing, you see that little red like dot thing with like 4 little things sticking out? That's your anchor point. And so wherever your anchor point is, that's where it'll shrink relative to. I don't know if that makes much sense, but if you start using After Effects a lot, you'll kind of figure out what I mean. That's not important yet. I might have to fix that later, though. I don't think I'll have to fix it with this loader, though. Okay, so what we're going to do is right here, I'm going to hit a scale keyframe, and it's going to be full scale right here. But I'm going to move like a couple things over, and I'm going to set it to 0 because it's disappeared. It's loaded, and now the loader's gone. We don't want it there. Okay, so essentially if I played through this, it would, you know, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, it's fine. Oh, centered. I'm centering the anchor point. Okay, that's all I'm doing. That way it just shrinks relative, like it shrinks away instead of like out to the right. It just shrinks straight down. So now, yeah, so straight down. So now I've done that. Let's enable motion blur. You know, it just gives us like this fast feeling. So watch. I mean, whoop, boom, like this motion blur thing. So much cooler. I love motion blur. Awesome thing. Whoever decided to put that on After Effects was a genius. So yeah, motion blur looks really good. Okay, I think we're done with this loader. The only thing we need to do is add the text right here. So I'm gonna teach you another cool tip right here after I do the text. That's let's make the rest lowercase. That'll look more real. Dot 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 dot. Yeah, you know, dot 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 dot. Like it's going. I think that's kind of cool. I tried one time to make the dots like switch, but that just kind of looks stupid. So I've just graduated not doing that at all. So let's move it down, center it with the loader. So we got that done. Okay, so now let's take the parent link, and essentially what the parent link does is it makes the loader, like the text, do the same thing as the loader in terms of it disappears the same time as the loader, and it stays in connection with the loader the whole time. I honestly think that's cool. That's probably one of the other cooler things that After Effects has done. You know, I don't remember a time when they didn't have that, but I still think it's really, really, really cool. Okay, so now we've made another empty text layer, and we're going to do a welcome. Hey, can y'all be quiet? Shh. We're going to do a welcome. Obviously, that is way too small. I'm just doing an explanation point. And we're going to enlarge the text size to a bunch. It's a little too big. To about that, right there. And we can just take that and move the text over and center it. Let's hit caps lock. Center the text. To the right. Yeah, we'll just leave it right there. So now we go to transform, and we're gonna hit scale keyframe, and we're gonna move back a little bit to right there, and we're gonna make the scale 0. Obviously, you can see it kind of shrunk to the side. Once again, that's because the anchor point was on the left side. But we can fix that. But now, but it'll generally look like this. This will disappear. It's a little too fast. We can just select both those keyframes and move them over a bunch in the scale. Let's see. Nope, still too close. We can just move them over a bunch. Maybe right there. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, let's enable motion blur on that. I'm double clicking because I'm trying to. There we go. Okay. There we go. So we need to move the anchor point on there, and it's not letting me hit the anchor point with my mouse. Well, another way we can do is just go to the anchor point section and center this with the anchor point. So now when we move the position, it's automatically, the anchor point moves in the center with it. And so that way it'll shrink straight out instead of the side like that. So it looks good. Welcome. Okay, now I think that's about as far as we're going to go in terms of what we show on the hologram screen, because it's going to take a long time to do all the other stuff you're going to see in the test video. And so I think, yeah, I think this is good for the screen. Oh, well, I am going to add one more thing. like a line that just kind of moves across the bottom of the text on welcome. That'll be kind of cool. Let's see. I kind of want to do a square around it, but I'm not sure I'm going to do that one. That would take a long time. Let's see. I think that's long enough. Yeah, I think that's long enough. So let's double click this white solid and let's animate the mask right here. So let's go to mask 1 and we need to do the mask path. Okay, once again, I did a keyframe. So it's going to be full right there, but right here, we're going to select those two, and we're going to hold shift down. Whoop, right, let's get it off shift. Shift moves it like really far. Let's center it as best we can. Yeah, that looks, honestly, that looks pretty good. Let's take that hand tool, zoom in. Maybe it'll show a tiny white speck, but not enough to where anybody is ever going to notice. So honestly, I'm not worried about that. So let's go back to this. And so now when I play it, yeah, it zooms out like that. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, if we play it, whoop, just like that. Okay. I honestly think that's really good. Maybe we can fatten it. Oops. What is that? Oh, that created another keyframe. Let's delete that keyframe. Let's just not worry about it. That's just too complicated for right now. Okay, so there we go. Let's just go to the composition and let's undo that. Let's move this down. Let's see if I can just use the mouse to move this down. There we go. Move that right there. Center it with the C right there. Okay, we've centered that. So now what we're going to do okay, so now it scrolls out like that. And let's take both those keyframes and move them right there. Now let's move this one in a ton. Not a ton, but a decent amount. Okay. And now let's link it to that. Now the one thing is, it's not showing, obviously, because actually I don't really know why it's not showing. So we're just going to set that to none. It's not important. You can't see it. So now when we play the whole thing through, or just this part through, it does that. It kind of moves with the text. That's kind of cool. So yeah, let's just center that so we can get a better view. Let's go to that, and let's go to default. And now we just need to make our screen itself look more realistic. So we're going to go do a fractal noise kind of effect thing. Stick fractal noise. Now I didn't know this for a long time, but you can do the fractal noise to block. So you go to soft linear, that thing right there, and you can hit block, and the block gives it this text kind of feel, or not text, sorry, tech kind of feel, and yeah, that tech kind of feel, and then you can just mess with the little things right here until it looks more realistic. That honestly doesn't look horrific. That doesn't look horrific. Let's mess around with the opacity a little bit. Let's go to the subscaling. Let's scale it up a lot. Let's scale it up. About that much. That looks good. So yeah. Let's go back to standard so we have the play thing. And let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like that. Okay. So I think we need to do one more thing. Let's go back to default. And let's type in Venetian blinds. This gives it this computer, I don't know how to explain it. You'll see once I do it. Like this computer type thing. Like you would see. Now let's set the direction to a 90-degree angle. A 90 degrees here, 90. $90. Okay, that looks good. Now let's pre-compose this. Pre-compose this. There we go. Pre-composed it into hologram. Okay, so now we have our back screen footage. As you can see, it is clear, like it's supposed to see. You can see through it. Let's see. Okay, so now we're going to take this and we're gonna hit transform, and we've oh wait, that's the wrong thing. Let's undo that. Okay, we're supposed to turn the hologram into a 3D, not the footage. Sorry. Okay, so hologram transform, and let's just scale it down a bit. Just make it more realistic. You can do that. You can make it up and down. I think it's so cool that you can make things 3D that really aren't 3D. But anyway, and you move it side. We're gonna move it to the side like that, just a little bit. And you can do rotation like that. Oops, I kind of messed this up a little bit. Let's a little bit the other way. Let's see. Um, let's see. There we go. That looks pretty good. Let's move that right about there. Okay. And yeah, that looks pretty good. If we go to standard, actually, I don't think I'm gonna go to standard yet. But yeah, we're gonna create a new solid, of course. And oops, wrong. I was supposed to use the circle tool. Let's change this to a tool, like a circle tool. Yeah, let's make a little circle right here. Right here, we're doing like the base that sends out the glow and projects the hologram. The test video one is probably gonna look a lot better because I spent a lot more time on that. But this one honestly looks good, and this one's gonna look just good enough to where you get the basic idea, and you can work with it on your own till you have it how you want it to look. So yeah, we have this basic thing, and come on, like that looks good. Okay, let's get off this transform, and let's just hit the mouse key, and let's work with the feathering on this thing because we want it to feather out like it's almost like a glow a little bit. That's a little too much. Let's lessen that. Let's lessen that. Let's lessen that. Honestly, that looks really fake. I agree, very very fake, but I don't care right now because you can just keep. Yeah, I care that what I make looks good for y'all, but it would take forever to get this look awesome. What I did right here is I just added a glow. Now it's not showing how I added the glow, but you can watch other videos and you'll be able to see how I glow. Maybe one day I'll fix this issue with my screen camera because it's not recording some of this stuff. Anyway, so yeah, all I did was add a glow, and that gives it, this white glow. Okay, there we go. Oh, and so it's just there we go. So yeah, there we go. And let's see, what should we do? Okay, so right here we've created another like yeah, we've created a blue solid, and we're going to make like an outer glow ring thing. I don't know if I did this to my last one, but I'm gonna try this out. I think it'll look good. Once you do After Effects enough, you kind of get a gist of what'll look good, what won't. Let's feather that out a ton. That's just supposed to be like a glow, not an actual thing. I think I want that. Oops. As you can see the edge of the thing. I think I want this to be a under the big white solid circle thing. Let's just mess with this mask a little bit. Widen it out a ton. And let's stick it under the white solid. There we go. So now the white solid's on top of it. There we go. That looks okay. Now let's stick the hologram over both of these so that it's not covering parts of the hologram. Let's see. So let's do a curves effect to this footage to give it like this bluish color. I like how I said that. Bluish color. Let's just say normal bluish color. There we go. I love curves. You can give these like cinematic feels to stuff that doesn't even look whatsoever. Yeah, let's darken it a bit. Let's give it more of a blue touch. Let's give it more of a blue touch. I like that. Let's not mess with green. Green's useless in this video. So yeah, that honestly could be the video, but obviously the little glow thing at the bottom doesn't look as realistic as it could, so let's just mess with that a little bit more. Plus we have a couple more things to do with the hologram thing. So yeah, let's go to this, and what I did was basically I just made it to where you couldn't see the mask hitting the little eye thing on the white solid 7. You'll see me hit it again to make it to where you can see this mask. Boom. And so I'm creating this little thing that looks like it's projecting it. I think that's kind of cool. So let's hit the eye thing. Boom. You can see it. That obviously looks stupid. But let's go to masks, and let's feather. Well, first let's do the opacity. Like, I don't want it to be that clear. And then let's feather it out a little bit. We'll work with the feathering to make it look more realistic as we go. So yeah. So yeah. Okay. So let's stick that under the hologram so it doesn't take away from the hologram. And let's see. We've created that. And let's change the glow on this solid to like a blue. I know you can't see me changing it, but I am changing it. And let's change it to a darker blue. And now all we do is hit original colors and change it to A and B colors. And all that does is it switches it to the blue instead of just whatever glow color the solid is. So yeah. So yeah. Um let's just pre-compose those. So we have a pre-composition. There we go, pre-composed them. Scale the opacity down a little bit so it's not so blatant. So it's not, yeah, it's just not so blatant. And now if we double click on it, we can see exactly what I made. I know that looks a little stupid. I duplicated that, trying to give it a nicer glow. That looks a little fake. So let's lessen the intensity on all of those. That I duplicated. Let's just lessen the intensity. Let's lessen the intensity. Okay, that looks better, but there's a couple things. We don't really see that projection part. So I think what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to go to the projection, and I'm going to undo some of the opacity. Like, I put the opacity 50% off, but I think if we heighten that, that'll look a lot better. Let's make it, like, more not so, like, broad. That looks better. I gotta say it looks better. So let's go to this, and I don't like how big this is. I want to scale this down. Honestly, I want to scale this down a lot. And let's just use that arrow key and move it down, center it kind of. Once again, I want it centered. I kind of want it there. I honestly could do without it altogether, but what am I doing? Whoa, where's? Oops. Oh, oh, I'm doing the opacity. I'm doing the opacity for the wrong thing. Oops, let's get off that. Let's go to the pale blue solid opacity. Sorry, y'all. The pale blue solid's opacity, which is this glow thing circle I created. Let's lessen that opacity a lot, because that's obviously way too much. Maybe just a tad bit. There we go. That honestly looks a lot better. So we're basically done now. I think the only thing I'm going to do is add a curves effect. Let's just add a curves effect to the actual hologram. So let's right click the hologram. Right click it. Let's hit curves. What am I did? Curves. Oh, so I know y'all can't see it, but I'm actually doing it. Whoa. Wrong thing, y'all. I had equalize, not curves. Let's hit curves. It's so weird that y'all can't see it, but it's okay. We'll try to fix that for the present. I mean, for next time. Sorry, I don't know why I said present. Anyway, let's move that curves, the blue up a lot. We can move the dark down. We have the dark moved down. We can just edit this as we go. Let's move that blue up. Let's go to red and move it down. That just gives it this blue kind of color. Okay, we've done that. That looks kind of weird. I'm going to add a glow. Honestly, that glow looks really weird. Whew, that looks bad. Let's keep that glow intensity at 1. Let's just heighten the radius. There we go. There we go. I just want that radius heightened. So it looks like it's actually there. You know, if a screen was projecting, you know, it would have some sort of glow. And even if it wouldn't, it looks cool. So, honestly, don't care. I'm just changing the colors. And we'll just switch that to A and B. That looks awkward. I can just lessen the intensity. I kind of want a little bit of glow, but just a hint that it's there. We can just move, not the blue, we can move the red up. There we go. So now there's not as much like spotty blue stuff, as you were saying. Uh, there, I think I think that's about good. Always just you can always just mess with it. Yeah, I think that looks good. We can go ahead and preview it so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, and that's the hologram video.